Hey there, it's Brittany Chavers, and I'm back with a tutorial today. We're gonna just do some bead mixing. I have some leftovers from my live this weekend from the Let's Be Mermaids Splash bead mix, which is so much fun. But I also have some leftover, like partially used bead strands from Jesse James Beads, and I wanted to kind of work those beads into my design. And I just thought the green and blue went really well together, and I wanted to use up some extra beads laying around. This weekend in my tutorial, I also used some clasps, and there two came in the kit and I have one left, so this is part of the toggle, and then this is the other part. I'm just going to be using the circle today because I think it looks awesome as a pendant. So I was thinking we'll dump out these beads. I'm going to use this crystal on top of the pendant, and I also have some Fairy Silk that is ombre and very beachy, and I just really loved it, so I think we're going to use that today too. So I'm trying to decide. Oh, we have a little tiny spacer right here, so he can go on top of the crystal, and then maybe I'll dive into this. I think this was a Dakota Stones, Jesse James Beads featuring Dakota Stone strand, so I think I might dive into this. And I also have like Jesse James Beads metal mix that I made myself from all of my leftover Jesse James beads. So I'm gonna try and find a tiny bead cap in here. Actually, I think I have one. Let's see, does this guy fit on my bead? Yeah, I think that's really cute. So I'll push those out of the way. I might need to come back to that. And I am going to make a little pendant out of these little beads. We're gonna make our pendant. I have some 20 gauge artistic wire from Bead, and it is tarnish resistant. And I just chose gold because that's the color we're going with for this one. Just gonna cut off a piece. And I am going to start a wire wrapped loop, a little bit bigger because my pendant is a little thicker than our normal connection point. And we'll open this up a little bit, stick that through, and then I'm going to wire wrap this closed. You can use pliers or your fingers, whatever works. You can do messy or more closely wrapped. I'll do one more. I'm going to wrap it around to the back to make sure that we can snip off our piece and it won't show from the front. Okay, and then I am going to load on my beads. It's a little bent, so we'll just move it with our fingers, and then we're good. Okay, put on my spacer, my bead, and my bead cap, and there we go. So we have a really cute little pendant, and then I am just going to wire wrap that closed. And bring that to the back. And then I will go ahead and wrap this around. If you're feeling adventurous, you can come down your pendant with your wire. I'm just going to do a regular wire wrap loop today and finish it in the back. And I'm just going to set this to the side just for a moment while I decide what order we're putting our beads on the necklace in. Okay, so put that to the side. On this strand, I'm really liking these larger beads. They really match with some of the mermaid beads. So I'm going to put those on the sides. I definitely want to use these 2 glass beads from the mermaid mix. This guy, I'm going to do a little transition into our fairy silk, and I'm going to use him to hide it. So, and then I think on the other side, I'm going to use my little turquoise starfish. I definitely want to get the pearls in here. And it's kind of green heavy, so I'm going to go, oh, we have a couple of these from our bead mix. I'm going to go to my leftovers strand and dump out those beads and get some of this turquoise in here. And I actually have this strand of leftover thunder polished crystal, so I'm gonna, and it's a perfect match, so I'm going to put these in here. There we go, and I'll get some more interest in there with the cubes, and then I'll just find some little cute spacers, and we'll be ready to go. I'm going to string this on 19 strand bead stringing wire. And I want something on this side to connect my fairy silk to, and I'm thinking a cage bead would be a really good idea. So let me go through my beads soup here, my metal bead soup. I found a little one. I also found a larger one. Bigger is better. We're gonna go with bigger. And I have little spacers. And we're good to go. I think we're gonna string, and I am going to show you how we're going to connect on to our fairy silk. So I'm going to use some 19 strand bead stringing wire from Bead. It is in gold. And I'm just going to string everything except for my cage bead. I'll start here. Now I am going to add on my pendant. And I actually really like this other crystal that I'm seeing. It was just kind of sitting there, and I'm going to put that on here. And then I am going to put on my, I don't know what this is. I think it's like a mermaid tail bead cap. I think that's what it is. Really cool. So I'm going to put that on. Okay. And then I am going to find a crimp tube or a crimp bead, whatever works for you. I'm going to spill out 2 because I need 1 for each side. And I am going to take my fairy silk and I'm going to double it up. Like this. So we have a bend at this side, or a fold. And I'm going to make sure that stays even and put the end right here. So I'm going to put my crimp on, come around my fairy silk. And I guess at this point it doesn't really matter if it's in the bend or in the middle of the bend or not. But then I'm going to come back through my crimp tube. Came through the other side of my bead, which is not a problem. And I want to make sure that my crimped, my pieces are not crossed, my wires are not crossed. I'm going to take my my crimping tool, slide that towards my strand of fairy silk, making sure it's still in the middle, getting that as close as we can, but not too close that it's like ripping the fabric, but we want it to be pretty snug. And then I am just going to put that in the largest valley of my crimping pliers, and I am going to squish, and then I'm going to turn it sideways and move it up the pliers to create a folded bead. Okay, so we're like that, and then I'm going to just slide this tail through a couple beads, but now we're using this mermaid tail to hide that connection. Not that it's even super noticeable, but it's just a nice place to hide that bead. Here we go. And if that crimp tube keeps hanging out right there, we can always cover it with a crimp cover. I don't think it'll be necessary, but if it becomes an issue, I can change it. So I'm just going to make sure that I move my wire or my beads all the way down. I'm going to cut my tail. And then I'm going to take my crimp bead, put it on, take my cage bead, and he was kind of crushed in my bead soup, so I'm just going to reshape that. Very easy to do. Here we go. Wonderful. And I'm going to come around one part of my cage bead and then come back through my crimp. We're just going to crimp like we normally would, come back down through. Oh, I forgot to add on my crystal on this side of the necklace. Crystal on, add on our crimp, come through the cage bead. And I'm using a part that's closed, not a part that's just meeting, because we don't want our wire to slip through by accident. Pull this through. Come down through a couple of these beads to get leverage. And pull. Okay, and while we want it to be taut, we want to make tight or taut, we want it to be loosey-goosey so it's not a straight line. Okay. And I am just going to folded crimp this side. There we go. Turn 90 degrees. Close that up. Trim our wire. Okay, now I'm going to take the 2 strands of my fairy silk and I am going to tie it to my cage bead at the opposite end of where I did my connection point for my wire. Now I might need to trim this just a little bit. I love this deep ocean blue right here. All right, so we're going to come in this side and then come out the other, and take your time. You might need tweezers, you might need your pliers, whatever you need to get in there to grab your piece. If you can't fit your fingers in there, it's totally fine. Just grab a pair of pliers, or like I said, tweezers. I'm going to get some smaller pliers that are going to get in there a little bit more easily. Okay, there we go. One end at least. Let's see if we can get the other one through. There we go. You just have to have some patience. Line those up. And then we're just going to create a knot. Actually, I'm going to pull it just a little bit more. So one knot. And then another knot. Okay. So now if you want an over the head necklace, I think this is just about long enough to do that, but you can also cut back here and put a clasp on, or use just a longer piece if you want it to be like a chest length necklace. Now I love this little ocean blue piece coming off the side there, and then I want to get this little starfish on here. I don't know if I thought I was going to put them up here, which I see we have a crimp cover here that's needed. Before I put these on, I always put them on the tips of my crimping pliers, and I stretch it open a little bit more. Seems to go a little bit more easily for me when I do that. Just makes the opening a little bit bigger. Slip that on, close it up. There we go. And then let's see, where do I want that starfish? Do I want him right here? Or actually, I think we will hang him from our little thing here. And I'm gonna just grab a jump ring. And that's a fun way to use up some extra beads, charms, and a clasp. Isn't that fun? I love that he's hanging right there in front of everything. So there is our necklace, and I'll bring this around. Of course, I'll include some really cute pictures after the video. I'll just make a really fast pair of earrings to go with it. Leftover, I mean, we have these cute little tails, and I had these really nice little shells. I love these shells. Actually, I like the tails a little bit more just because they go really well with that fairy silk. So I'm just going to grab a couple beads from my leftovers here. And I have some 22 gauge twisted artistic wire by Bead, and I'm wondering if this will fit through my little tail. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we're going to go like this. We're going to slip the tail on. I'm just going to wire wrap around the top part. I guess I could cut off a piece of this. All right, we'll lift that up and come around our top part, and you can use your fingers. This is pretty malleable, so I think it'd be easy enough for you to use your fingers, but if you need to use your pliers, that's totally okay. All right, so I'm gonna trim that there. I'm gonna put on my, I think this is Amazonite. I'm gonna put on my bling ball. I am going to wire wrap this. And I'm actually going to go around twice because this is kind of like I said, malleable. So I am going to go and make it a little bit stronger by coming around my wire twice, or my mandrel twice, and then I am going to wire wrap. And usually I would just hold the, I guess we can hold those there. I'm just going to hold that gently there. Going to wrap around. Oh, that's why I didn't really want to squish those. I'm going to wrap around here, and then I'm going to come down around my bling ball, and then come around down my Amazonite, and end up wire wrapping around my original wrap right here. And if you have a ton of wire, you can come around down your mermaid tail. So I am going to snip that in the back. And this malleable wire kind of gives it some movement. We see our tail moving back and forth. But let's see. Okay, let me get an ear wire. Those easy beetle on ear wires. Slip that on, close it up. And here we have our earring pair. So cute and sweet. Ready for a day at the pool or out in the sun. And we have our matching necklace. So thank you so much for joining me. Thanks to Jessie James Beads for having me back, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.